to ask everybody to stand for the pledge. Kylie, will you lead us in a pledge, please? Sure.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, to start things off, we have some special recognition for a Fairfield Ludlow High School student for winning 2 national championship gold medals and 1 bronze medal as coxswain of the Saugatuck Rowing Club. I have a proclamation that I would like to read, but I'm going to ask Ms. Powers if you'd come up to the podium. This is Charlotte Powers, who, Charlotte, what year are you at Ludlow?
I'm going into my junior year.
Okay, very good. We'll talk a little bit more, but let me read this first, if you would. The town of Fairfield congratulates Charlotte Powers for achieving the highest national recognition in the sport of rowing by earning 2 gold medals and a bronze medal at the 2015 U.S. Rowing Club National Championships. The sport of rowing is the longest-standing intercollegiate sport in our country, established in the 1800s and continuing today to represent the ideals of striving for athletic excellence. And whereas in her role as coxswain for the Saugatuck Rowing Club, the Saugatuck Rowing Club Juniors, Charlotte is a true leader and on-water coach, directing, motivating, and navigating the crew to every finish line. And whereas Charlotte and her teammates won the gold medal in the girls' lightweight 8 category at the 2015 U.S. Rowing Club National Championships held in Cincinnati, Ohio, and also won the gold medal at the U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships in the lightweight 8 category held in Sarasota, Florida. The team is currently ranked number 1 in the country in the lightweight 8 category. And whereas Charlotte and her teammates won the bronze medal in the goals lightweight 4 category at the 2015 U.S. Rowing Youth National Championships, also held in Sarasota, Florida. And whereas, in addition to her accomplishments on the water, Charlotte has distinguished herself academically by earning a place on the honor roll at Fairfield Ludlow High School and serves her community as a junior deacon at the Greenfield Hill Congregational Church. Now therefore, I, Michael C. Tetro, first selectman of the town of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim Thursday, September 3rd, 2015, as Charlotte Powers Day throughout the town of Fairfield. Congratulations. Now, as we chatted briefly before, I actually rowed a little bit in college. But tell us, how did you get interested in rowing? It's not like one of the top 3 sports in most states.
Yeah, both my sisters were also coxswains, so they were really pretty much my leaders too. But I'm not really sure. I kind of just started as a beginner and did both the programs, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not a huge fan of it. I always asked my mom to stay home, and I was like, I really don't want to go. But then I started getting more into it, and then I went to intermediate and started doing novice, and I became really attached to the girls in my boats, and my coaches were great, and I just started to really love it. And then these past couple of years I've just it's really been amazing team, and all the races, and I look forward to every season, and it's just been uphill from there.
Now, crew practices can be really tough. I remember one of the things that several takeaways on my crew experience. One was that you had to absolutely be in sync. It was one of the most difficult sports in terms of timing, because the oars don't go in and out of the water exactly at the same time. The boat tips, it loses speed, and that can cause all sorts of problems, and certainly doesn't help you win the race.
Yeah.
Second, even though the coxswain is the one person in the boat that doesn't row, my experience was the coxswain has an unbelievable impact on what the crew and how the team does and how they finish. And I mentioned to you before that as much as I rowed on the second boat in college, we changed coxswains at one point, and we could beat the first team just by changing coxswains. So I know you play a very important role. What do you think the biggest impact you make on your team is?
Just bringing a positive attitude like every day is like really important for them because their practice kind of depends on what I'm saying and how my attitude is. So like, I mean, my coach, like no matter how I feel that day, it's always going in with like a new face and like a new attitude and always bringing it up so that they can be fully focused and like ready to go.
Do you practice year-round?
Yes.
Because I remember some mornings where the coach would be out in front of us in the launch, literally breaking the thin sheet of ice on the water.
Oh, yeah.
And when we asked him for gloves, he said it builds character not to have them.
Don't look weak. Yep.
Fantastic. Any questions from my colleagues?
I don't have
Go.
a question, I have a comment, or a couple of comments. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Huge accomplishment. I actually rowed in high school,
Oh.
but I rowed club crew because there was no way I was up to the JV or the varsity teams. And it was just a tremendous experience for me, but it was so hard physically. I mean, it was so, so hard, and which makes your accomplishment all the more incredible because you are there to motivate people to do something that's physically so demanding. So you must be an incredible presence on your boat or your boats to get these kind of results. So fantastic! Congratulations, and also so well-rounded as well that you're doing so well academically, and your future is very bright.
Absolutely, and I concur with those comments. Congratulations, and I'm sure your family and your coaches and your teammates are all very proud of you, as are we. And the fact that you're doing it in school, outside of school, in your church, in your town is remarkable, and you do have a wonderful, great future ahead of you, and thank you for being a leader. Appreciate
Thank you
that.
so much.
I think some tremendous leadership training, and it's wonderful that there are two teams in Connecticut that we know are ranked number one in the country, the Yukon women and your rowing team. So we're thrilled to see
Yukon.
that. All right,
Yes.
let's present you with a proclamation. Come on over here. Stand here. Show you this. And by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
super
much.
achievement.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job. This is yours.
Thank you.
We've got to run through a couple items here. Next up, item 4, is we have some resignations. A, from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, Elizabeth Garner, a Democrat from 882 Reef Road. Her term was 11/14 to 11/16. Her resignation date was August 19th. From the Fairfield Ludlow High School Building Committee, Terry Leopold, unaffiliated, from 146 Coleman Road. Her resignation date was August 26th. And from the Fire Commission, Patrick McCabe, a Democrat, 1395 Fairfield Woods Road. His term was 11/11 through 11/16. His resignation date was August 23rd, 2015. We have an appointment to hear, consider, and act upon the following appointment to the Fairfield Ludlow High School Building Committee, and this does require RTM approval at a later date. Gregory Pidlowski, unaffiliated, from 51 Lounsbury Road, to fill a vacancy for Terry Leopold. Is Greg here?
I don't believe
No, I
he's
think-
able to be here.
All right. May I have a motion to consider?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All right. Greg's not here. You've had a chance to review his background.
Yes.
Becomes highly recommended. Are you comfortable voting today, or would you like to hold it off until he can join us?
No, I'm fine voting. He's got a great background as well. I was able to get through his background, and he comes recommended, and I'm sure he'll be a great addition to the committee.
Yeah, I mean,
Are you okay with that,
I
Alonzo?
am. He states that he's sat on 2 building committees. He only names one, Osborne Hill. I don't know if there was another one. He says, I previously sat on 2 building committees, and then he says Osborne Hill School in Fairfield. So I'm not sure what the other one is, but he says that he found them to be very fulfilling. I mean, the fact that he is coming back for more, I think is very encouraging.
Very subtle, Sheila, very subtle.
You know, so he's, again, that level of motivation is something that I think is terrific, and he has a great engineering background as well.
He does, yes.
I think
Yeah.
he'd be a great addition. I'm very comfortable with him.
Okay. All right, any further discussion or comments?
No.
Any comments from the body or from the public? All right, thank you. Back to the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, that's unanimous. And Jen, you'll get in touch with Mr. Podolsky about the RTM meeting and dates. I think that it helps that it gets it to the RTM in September on this rather than waiting till October on that, so it lets him get to work on the committee quicker, so thank you for that. All right, next item up, Congregation Bethel, to hear a report on the 2nd Annual New England Kosher Barbecue Championship and Craft Fair held Sunday, August 30th, 2015. This has been quite a shining example of community involvement on a scene. From when I first heard about this, I think almost 3 years ago, it captured my imagination, and I couldn't wait to get to the first one last year. The second one, again, excelled again. But I'm going to let you please come up to the podium, tell us a little bit, give us an update on what this is about for
Sure.
anybody who wasn't able to be there, and there were a lot of people that were there.
Sure.
And please introduce yourselves.
Please. I'm the co-executive chair for the Southern New England Kosher Barbecue Championship and Craft Fair, along with my partner here.
Warren Rockmacher.
All right. And if you would say your name for the folks at home that are watching.
Sure, Don Charbon.
Okay, Don.
Warren Rockmacher.
And appreciate the opportunity you've given us to be here today. I would like to start off and echo what I said at the festival last year as well as this year. I do appreciate and we do value the support of the town of Fairfield and your support too, Mr. Tetro. Like I said before, this event, while it's hosted by our congregation, it really is a celebration, and it is a reflection of the fact that we're hosting it for the town. And so we've reached out to people like the firefighters, the police officers, and other entities within our town, because again, in order for this celebration to be the success as Warren and I deem it to be, it requires that the whole town gets involved and excited. So you want to talk a little bit about the inspiration you had behind
Well,
it?
it started about 2 years ago, actually, over 2 years ago. We were at my house and having a barbecue, and Don said he had known I had just come back from a competition. I've competed in these events before, Long Island and Atlanta, and Don said, how about we do one here in Fairfield? And I said, no way. I said, it's just it's the undertaking, and we started planning, and it took a year to plan the first one. And we did it. We had 17 teams compete in the first annual Southern New England Kosher Barbecue Championship, including the Fairfield Fire Department. Teams traveled from all over, and then after last year was such a success, we decided to do it again. And we had it this year. We had teams come from as far as Kansas City to compete this year, and it's as you know, maybe you don't know, there's a barbecue circuit. The state championship is actually being held. The Connecticut State Championship is actually being held in Hartford this coming weekend, and so then there's the kosher competition as well. Little different rules apply because as it is kosher, there's no pork product involved, and there are other things that have to be involved in having the Jewish supervision of the event. Most of the teams were Jewish, some of the teams were not, and they had to adhere to our rules. But it's very unique, and it's a lot of fun. And I competed as well as co-chaired the event, and I came in 6th place in chicken. All right, so I got a trophy, 6th place in chicken. It was close. And that was the inspiration of the event, and we just carried through with it, and we couldn't have done it without Don and the support of our synagogue and the support of the town of Fairfield.
So if I may, Warren talked about kosher, and I want to take a moment to explain what kosher is in terms of, and how it's applied to a barbecue event. Because on first blush, when you talk to people, they say, it's impossible, it doesn't make sense, kosher barbecue.
That's the number one question I get as soon as I tell them about like, how do they do that? That's impossible. You're absolutely right.
So to share with you, basically, in kosher, on the rules of kosher, you cannot mix dairy with meat products. So the first rule is we can't have dairy at this event. So everything we have in this event is either meat, I should say, or no dairy, like vegetables, or, for example, we've had Rita's Ices at the event. It's a non-dairy product. But in addition to that, it can't be pork, which most people know. And so what we have is we have beef, we have ribs, which is also a beef product, and we have chicken thighs. Okay, and then in addition to that, by Jewish standards, you need to have an individual who comes who regulates, ensuring that everything is brought in kosher. So to what Warren said, our event, while it's held on Sunday, it starts Thursday night. Thursday night, the teams show up at about 6:30 till about midnight, preparing their ingredients. They in turn are given to this person who oversees the kosher authority, put in a refrigerator, sealed, and then they come back Saturday night.
After the Sabbath ends, they come back Saturday night after sunset.
Yeah.
They come back, and then the Jewish supervision, which is called the Mashgiach, shows back up Saturday night and unlocks the fridge, and then we can start handing out the proteins. Now, this person, to keep it kosher, to make sure that a kosher oven stove has to be lit by a Jewish person. So the Mashgiach. So the Mashgiach goes around and he has to light everyone's fire, even the firemen. They're great at putting fires out. We found out they're not very good at starting them, which is probably a good thing. So he goes around and he lights everyone's fires, and then once the fires are lit, then the teams can begin the process of cooking their items over the course of the night. So it's you're up all night, and that's standard procedure at any barbecue competition. You start late at night, you're cooking all through the night into the next morning until the judging starts, which starts at 11:30 in the morning with the first turn-in item, and then from 11:30 to 1 o'clock every half an hour, there's a turn-in item that you every half an hour on the hour you turn it in until 1 o'clock, when the brisket is your last item that gets turned in, goes to the judges.
Yeah. So our event is under the sanctions of KCBS, the Kansas City Barbecue Society, the preeminent regulatory society regulating these judging events. And it is highly regulated. It's a double-blind event, so when a team brings in their food up to the judging station, in turn, it's given a number, and then it's given another number. So
it's like a
high standards.
double-blinded
Exactly.
study.
It's a double-blind.
Scientific.
The KCBS reps traveled from all over the country to attend our event. The KCBS representatives came from Falmouth, Massachusetts, and they do it at their own expense. We had one judge who wanted to be a judge at a kosher competition, and she flew out from California, and then she flew back to California Sunday night.
Wow.
So we were quite honored that KCBS recognized us. And the other thing that KCBS did for us this year, which is very important for Operation Hope, which was one of the organizations we were raising money for. KCBS has a program this year to feed the homeless. So KCBS gave us approximately $650 towards the purchase of turkey wings, which were smoked and then donated to Operation Hope. We donated close to 1,000 pounds of smoked turkey wings for Operation Hope here in Fairfield to feed the homeless. And we also, Fran said we've got close to 5,000 cans of food,
Wonderful.
which was delivered by junk luggers over to Operation Hope as well.
You know, I like the fact that you had the canned food as part of that. It's kind of part of the entry fee, if you will, and so we'll bring my bag of cans in so that you could have that as part. But I think that's what I like overall about the entire program. Is it's something that brings our community together. You had over 4,500 people there this year. That's,
From
as you said,
3,000
a
last year?
50% increase over last year.
Huge.
As we talked on Sunday, to the best of my knowledge, that is the largest shared kosher meal in the history of New England. So I think my compliments to you on that.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who else would come in second, though I suspect it wouldn't last for long because you'll beat that next year.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I think that, you know, especially in this day and age, It's great to see that many people from our community, from that many segments of our community, come together and share in a cultural treat, really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we also got to show off this beautiful town. There were many people who came from New York, Long Island, Massachusetts, New Jersey, who, because this is such a signature event in the Northeast, so many people came into the town. Some spent, they came and stayed at some of the hotels starting Friday night and all through the weekend. So, and we got a lot of compliments on how beautiful the town of Fairfield was and how nice people in Fairfield were. So that was another side of the event that
That's great.
Thank you.
It really
Any
is.
comments from my colleagues?
Well, just congratulations on your celebration, because it is much more than an event, right? And thank you for putting it on, and also thank you for sharing, the proceeds with groups in town that really need help. The food, the wings, the canned foods, I mean, much needed, much appreciated. And as your event grows, more and more people will be able to benefit locally from that, from your success. So congratulations.
Thank you so
And
much.
Thank you.
Wholeheartedly agree. I tasted the barbecue, so did my family. It was excellent, thank you, and it really is a model for how we can do great events. And the fact that you brought people into town, that visited businesses and enjoyed Fairfield, and, the fact that you're donated to Operation Hope, it's just tremendous. So congratulations, it was a great event, and I'm assuming this is annual, we're planning
We
the
intention of
future?
making it annual,
Wonderful.
building on the success we've had.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Thank
Two
you.
quick questions, full
Please.
disclosure. One, our colleague, Tom Flynn, who's chair of the Board of Finance, was one of the certified judges at this
Right.
event.
Yes, he was.
Did he do okay? I mean, he hasn't judged in Fairfield before.
You're
You're going to bring him back? Is he going to get?
If he wants to come back, we're more than happy to have him back. I didn't do too well. Sixth in chicken,
Well, you should talk to him.
Granted, I was being pulled in several different directions. I would have liked to have in other categories as well. But he did very well, and the
Yeah.
judges all had a fantastic time, because
Yeah.
what the feedback we got from the judges, and Tom included, was they don't get beef ribs, which is what we had, and so and the way everything was prepared, and they said it was the judges especially said it was some of the best barbecue they have had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we all rate our fire department as best in class, but how'd they do in your barbecue?
They did.
They won. They
They
did.
Oh my gosh.
In certain categories.
They can.
Overall-
Our firefighters can handle the heat. Huh?
Overall, out of 23 teams, they came in 19th place. But they did actually win, I'm just looking at the top 6 in the categories.
And chicken?
Let's see. They came in 16th in beans. They came in 6 and above. Must have come in brisket. They came 3rd in brisket.
Fantastic. All
That's
right.
That's
Wow.
respectable.
Very
That's
respectable.
very respectable.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
respectable.
Well, it's high enough to show they're good, low enough to show they're not spending all their time barbecuing.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Good luck next year, and we look forward to seeing you.
Same here.
At
We look forward
Bethel.
to seeing all of you at our event next year. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Next up, we have to hear a report from the Clean Energy Task Force on the electric vehicle showcase to be held September 12th. Mr. Thompson, can you take us through this?
Thank
And
you.
welcome.
I have the flyer for our event, so
Okay.
I'll give you some copies. You can pass them down, please. Thank you. But thank you so much for having me. And those were 2 tough acts to follow.
You bet.
National championship, gold medal, and 4,500 people. I don't know if we're going to get either of those at the EV showcase on September 12th, but we're going to start somewhere.
Not today, but we're starting, right? One step at a time.
This is your first time, though, right?
This is our
the
first time
annual, so-
doing it. This is part of National Drive Electric Week, which is September 12th to 20th. And it's sponsored by Plug-in America, the Sierra Club, the Electric Auto Association, and Nissan Leaf. And so communities are able to organize and host events to raise awareness about electric vehicles, and that's what we're doing. And And let me first thank my colleague Mary Hogue. She's not here, but she's been really helping. She's the chair of the Fairfield Earth Day Committee, and she's rolled up her sleeves and helped organize this as well. But there are, and this is, I just got this email about 20 minutes before the meeting, 165 cities are hosting National Drive Electric Week events. So this is a national and really a worldwide movement on raising awareness about electric vehicles. So at our event, which is again September 12th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Fairpreen lot, we call it the auxiliary parking lot at the train station on Mill Plain Road.
That is across from the Parks and Rec Center, correct?
Exactly. It's directly across from the cemetery and the sportsplex and the rec department. That's right. I should say the rec center. But we have about 6 or 7 dealers that sell electric vehicles from the Fairfield County area, and they will be coming to have their salesmen there and present the cars to the public, so anyone that comes will get to look at it, ask questions, and some of them will even offer test drives. We're going to have about a dozen different models of electric vehicles on display, and also the cycling shop Zanes over in the Brick Walk, they're going to be bringing 10 or so electric bikes that people can check out.
Wow.
So it's not just electric cars, electric bicycles as well.
Wow.
We also are hoping to finalize the procurement. I'm working with the town purchasing department to utilize our rewards that the Clean Energy Task Force has for our solar program. That's a whole nother story. To procure the town's first electric vehicle. And we hope to have it ready for the event on September 12th. But you know, we've got a couple of steps to go through before we know for sure that will happen. Question?
Nope.
Okay. The Clean Energy Task Force focuses on clean energy in terms of power, focuses on clean energy in terms of transportation, and also, of course, the best power is the power that you don't use. That's the cleanest power. And so we also have efficiency programs as well. But this is really part of our efforts to raise awareness about electric vehicles. And I bet many people don't know that there are currently 26 different electric vehicle models that are on the market today, with many more being rolled out over the next 6 months. In fact, I used to talk to Selectman Kiley quite a bit about the Tesla, and you'll be happy to know that in 6 months you'll be able to pre-order the 4th model of the Tesla, which is called the Model 3, which is going to be really the car to revolutionize the electric vehicle industry. It will be an affordable car for the masses that will get over 200 miles of electric range. So it's really an exciting time in
really
electric
is.
vehicles.
Yeah.
One of the other great things about electric cars, they get 100 to 120 miles per gallon if you make it on an equivalent basis to gasoline. So they are much, much cleaner and much more efficient. And right now, this is probably something everyone should know, there are terrific incentives for electric cars. You can get up to $7,500 off an electric car as a federal tax credit. The state, Governor Malloy just signed, it was late April, early May, legislation to give a $3,000 state rebate for electric cars. So if you add that up, $10,500 off the sticker price for electric cars. That incentive makes them extremely competitive with equivalent gasoline cars. Then when you factor in that they're getting 100 to 120 miles per gallon, the fuel savings, if you drive them enough, is tremendous. And a lot of people recognize that about electric cars, but then there's another factor that makes them economical, which is there's almost no maintenance required, very little maintenance required on an electric car. It's just so much simpler compared to an internal combustion engine. So there's a lot of exciting things about electric cars. If you come to the event, you can talk to all the experts and learn a whole bunch more. But One of the other outreach activities that we'll be publicizing at this event is the Fairfield Continuing Education Department has allowed us to offer a class called Introduction to EVs. I teach the class. It'll be held on October 13th and November 10th, so it's in this fall's catalog. They used to, I do it for free, but they used to try to charge for it, and we got them to offer it for free as well. So anyone wants to come and really learn the details about electric cars, it's a 90-minute course, and you can come on the 13th or 10th, sign up through Continuing Ed Department. And it's really about my experience owning an electric car for the last 4 years. So a lot of hands-on experience. So in summary, electric cars are very economical right now. I would say more economical than their comparable gas cars. Very sporty and fast to drive, not like the concept cars of years ago. Very exciting new technology. My car has an app for it, and I can turn it on, I can set the heat, so all kinds of neat things for the tech geeks. And last of all, of course, there's a great environmental benefit to electric cars. Nothing like driving a car that has no tailpipe. So.
That's great.
Thank you. Any comments from my board?
I have, I drive a very sporty minivan at the moment, and I'm wondering, will there be any, you mainly see electric cars that are, small and sporty. Are there going to be any larger vehicles for families, for example?
The first SUVs are just coming out this fall. In fact, the first one that's available for sale is the Volvo XC90, and it's what's called a plug-in hybrid electric car. So it goes about 20 or 25 miles all electric, driving around town, but then it has a gasoline motor too. It can go into hybrid mode after that. Mm-hmm. So that's the first one that's available, along with the Tesla Model X, which is their SUV. Those are both pretty high-end cars. The Audi Q7 is coming out as a plug-in hybrid this spring, and the one that's kind of more in the affordable price range for most of us is the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. And there's one other one that I'm forgetting. So there's no minivans, but there are 5 either 6 or 7 passenger SUVs that will be on the market in the next 6 months.
That's great. And so for the actual showcase, will there be hybrid cars there, or purely 100% electrical?
So hybrids, so to be allowed at the event, they have to be able to plug in. So what you think of normally as a hybrid, those are not allowed. Plug-in hybrids are allowed. So plug-in hybrids are different than hybrids. Plug-in hybrids have a finite electric range before then switching to a hybrid mode. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then, of course, what we call pure electrics or battery electric vehicles, like my car, the Volkswagen e-Golf, those cars will also be there. So we'll have plug-in hybrids, we'll have pure electrics, there's another type which is called the extended range electric, like the Chevy Volt. All 3 types of those electric vehicles will be there, plus the bikes.
Wonderful.
Very cool.
Good news.
Kevin?
Sure. Thank you for your continued efforts and awareness that you raise for everyone. It's great, and we're moving in the right direction. Every time I drive around town and I see somebody at one of the plug-in at the charging stations, I get very excited and I stop my car and I point it out to one of my kids, because that's the direction that we need to be going in. So thank you for all that. Just a quick question. Can you talk a little bit about the battery length? You just touched on it a little bit, but how are we getting better at the battery length, which seems to be, the economics seem to be moving in the right direction as well. And the other obstacle, if you will, has been the battery length for many of the cars and the distances that they can go. So what's happening along the lines of making the battery life longer to attract more potential buyers?
Yeah, there's a number of factors that are driving down the cost of batteries. One is simply innovation with the batteries. The other is mass production. And so in the case, kind of the holy grail of electric vehicles, all right, and this is what all the major manufacturers are striving for, is a car that's in the $30,000 price range.
Mhm.
That is a medium-sized sedan or hatchback, and that gets more than 200 miles of electric range.
Okay.
So over 90% of Americans drive less than 40 miles a day. So for most Americans, the cars that are on the market today that get 80 to 100 miles are perfectly suitable. But we all have what's called range anxiety, and we all want to take weekend trips. And
Right.
not everyone has a second car for a weekend trip. So that 200-mile range is really kind of the holy grail. And so you have the Tesla Model 3, which will be out in 2 years, will be at that mark. The current Tesla is already at 300 miles, but that's
Right.
a very expensive car. But in the next couple of years, you're going to have also the Nissan Leaf is reported to come out with a 150-mile range car.
Okay.
And the Chevy Bolt with a B is going to try to compete with the Tesla Model 3 and have their $30,000
Okay.
200-mile car. So those
Okay.
cars aren't here yet,
Right.
but they're very close to being here because of the economies of scale with the battery production is kind of a key thing.
Right, because the last time I looked at the Nissan Leaf, I drove one, I think it was like 90 miles or so was the limit, give or
Yeah,
take?
about 85, yep,
Was it?
exactly.
So that's, as that becomes, 150 or greater, you're going to have more people moving in that direction or getting comfortable.
Mhm.
So that's good news. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, also, thanks for coming for the update. Couple things to, one, it's EV Day across the country on the 12th?
It is National Drive Electric Week from the 12th to the 20th.
Okay. How many other towns in Connecticut are having a Drive Electric Day on the 12th?
Using my photographic memory from the map, I would say 3 or 4. But
So we're one of the
there are-
top 4 in the state then?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. How many charging stations do we have in Fairfield?
We currently have about 10 in
Okay.
Fairfield
Are those open to the public or?
that are open to the public and/or at dealerships, and if you have a car from that dealership, you can use.
I got to tell you, this brings me back quite a bit. Back in the 80s, I was involved working on some R&D projects with aluminum air batteries that would power cars. But as part of that, I also got a chance to ride. In fact, I had a driver's license for an electric vehicle back in the day. A marketing gimmick, but that was pretty cool because I liked it. But trip range was, that you spoke about, I think, Kevin, that you were referencing, was one of the key issues. As much as the 90% of the travel was done within, 50 miles or something, folks always worried about that one trip per year that I'm going to the northern, reaches of Maine, and I've got to be able to drive. And the infrastructure challenge was a problem, both, in this case, EVs, but even when we were looking at aluminum air batteries, part of the problem there was that you didn't have the fuel recharge, the infrastructure set up for somebody to buy one and then recharge. The whole cars first or infrastructure first was one of the problems. I want to thank you for your efforts to kind of help Fairfield move along in this by having both infrastructure and keeping us aware of cars, the different models, and the pricing and the economics that keep changing to make this a lot more affordable, but a lot more practical for people, because I think it's the infrastructure that eventually drives that. I know you've been big on that. We've talked innumerable times over the last 3 years about that, so thank you
Well,
for all
let
you're doing.
me thank you and for all your support in the town. Ed Bowman, Twig has been great, Twig Holland working with me on the procurement. The support that the town gives to these initiatives just makes the work that us volunteers are doing just all that more meaningful, and I really, really appreciate all the support.
All right, thank you. Any follow-up questions?
Thank you.
No,
Scott,
thanks.
thank you very much, and good
Okay.
luck. See you on the 12th.
Thanks for having me. All right,
Thanks,
great.
Scott.
And that's September 12th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the parking lot across from the Sportsplex or the Rec Center. All right, next up, to hear a report from the Executive Director of the Quick Center of the Arts on the center's 25th anniversary celebration. Peter, come on up. Please come to the podium, just introduce yourself. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. My name is Peter Van Heerden. I'm the Executive Director of Quick Center for the Arts at Fairfield University. So thank you for this great opportunity, and thank you to the town for your support of the arts and for Fairfield University. So it's the Quick Center's 25th year of programming in the performing arts. And, you know, we're very excited, and I think we play a really important role in the town of Fairfield and in the state of Connecticut in producing the arts. And I'll just throw some statistics out there to give you a sense. So we have 45,000 ticket buyers that are going to come through our doors this season. We've got close to 9,000 to 10,000 students that we've affected through our summer camps in the last 20 years. And we have about 1,000 participants in local schools in Bridgeport, Norwalk, and Fairfield participating in artist residencies. So those are some nice numbers. We also have about 100 volunteers from the local Fairfield community who, you know, usher or volunteer at our concession stand. So we have a lot of sort of impact in the community, and we like to get the community involved in what we're doing. So it's our 25th year of programming. What better way to do it, we thought, than to have a celebration. So what we're doing is on the 19th of September, we've invited Charlie Rose to come from CBS. He will be coming to do a presentation of his work, and Mr. Rose being Mr. Rose, he said, I don't want to talk, I want to be interviewed. So we've invited Faith Middleton, a Peabody Award winner from NPR, to come and interview Mr. Rose, along with Dr. Lysok, who's a faculty member at the university. And what we've done is we've put a celebration together, and we've invited sort of a couple of community partners to be involved. So we have a $500 ticket level, and we've got involved with the Delamar Artisan Hotel. So Delamar has become our lead sponsor, and they have sponsoring a dinner event with Mr. Rose at the Artisan Hotel. And we then have a VIP cocktail reception at the Quick Center. And we've got a lot of local community partners from the town of Fairfield involved. So we've got Martell, 55 Wine Bar and Restaurant, Fairfield Cheese Company, Garlic and Herb, Harborview Market, Malto, Taco Loco, The Pantry, and Wild Rice. So they're all joining us in providing cocktails and food for people who are coming along. And then we'll have the event itself, and we have a DJ and an after party. So it's really going to be sort of a fun evening to kick off the season. And we're also going to probably do close to 400 events this year at the Quick Center during that season. And when I talk about events, that's anything from a technical rehearsal to an actual show itself. And of that, about 120 of those are local Connecticut and Fairfield not-for-profits who utilize our center. So I think we really provide a great resource to the community. We're very proud to be a part of Fairfield, a part of the university. We invite everybody to come and take part in our season. You know, we have family matinee series, we have dance series, we have music, we have performance. So we really have a sort of a wide spectrum of art for people to be entertained with and come join along. And you know, we welcome support from the community. So come join us, call us, come visit us at the box office, come say hi, come tell us what you're up to. And you know, we like partnerships. We'd love for more people to be involved. So we're there. We're a resource. Let's have fun.
Nope. Thank you. And you know, I'm torn between saying that the Quick Center just got here because I've learned so much more about them recently, or that they've been here forever because they seem like part of our culture and certainly have been part of our town for a long time with that. I think that you know, as I look at some of the things, the wide range that happens over there, that not necessarily in the Quick Center, but kind of in the parking lot and on the campus right there. I was at an auto show recently over there for 175 cars, which was just a great afternoon event. I know our One Book, One Town program that the Fairfield Library owns has an evening with the author at the Quick Center, and which fills up tremendously and gives everybody a chance not only read the book but talk to the author that wrote it. And a night of music, one of our many charities, but is at the Quick Center, and that's just a fabulous evening with in support of St. Vincent's Hospital. And the interview with Charlie Rose, I'm looking forward to that. I had a chance to see the Dustin Hoffman interview that Dr. Lassoff did.
I wasn't here for that. That was a couple of years ago,
about a year or so ago, I think, but tremendous. And that, when you look at things like that, when you look at the Charlie Rose thing, for me, what it's doing is really putting Fairfield on the map. Those are quite literally world-class events.
Correct.
And to have our town have that capability, I think is phenomenal. So I want to thank you for bringing that to our town and our residents in terms, and you know, and again, sharing the university with us. That to me is the ultimate town-gown relationship in terms of what you're doing there.
Thank you.
Any comments from my colleagues?
I would go.
Please, go ahead.
Just to build on that, so you're 25 years old.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Quick Center for the Arts going in the next 25 years? What's your vision for the center?
I think I'm very interested in community. I think, you know, the arts is a really important place in our community, in higher education. I think if you think about the arts sort of really strongly and the live performing arts, it's perhaps in sort of, you know, jeopardy. So I think we really need to put a flag in the ground at this time, you know, especially in the digital age, the notion of a live performance and experiencing something like that when the lights go out and they come back on at the end and we all clap in unison and we have that shared communal experience. I think that's a very, very powerful, event or thing that happens, and I think we're losing, that sort of is getting lost in terms of the ability to host it and having the capacity to host it. And it's become scary to fill a theatre with 750 people every single night for a performance. So, how do you play that game? And I think you have to really think about your community and what you're presenting and get a more robust network of people going together. So I think part of what we're doing this year and over the next couple of years is reaching out to community members, reaching out to patrons, organizations, and really building collaborations and building support through the education system, through vendors, and really creating something that is more than just the event that takes place in the theatre. The arts is the experience, and it's got to be something bigger than that the community can share in. So I'm very passionate about that concept of community and the placement of the arts within building or structuring community. So I will be sort of driving that process, I think, quite hard over the coming years.
You're really looking at evolving the idea of community. You're in community together, sharing in the arts, and then you're
Correct.
bringing the community together. And people from outside of Fairfield, as the first selectman had said,
Correct.
which is wonderful. You're really establishing Fairfield as a center for the arts.
Yeah, and for our special celebration event, we actually have got Sissy Biggers, who owns the Fairfield Gallery and sort of is quite a prominent woman in the community, and Elizabeth Clark, who's also a member of the community in Fairfield, and they're chairing the event. So it's nice to be able to sort of offer people opportunities and profile people and institutions in a way that kind of builds greater momentum for the showcasing of the arts in sort of a lot of different fields. It's more than just the performance, I think it's a much bigger construct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a wonderful partner for our town for 25 years, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And it's great to have you as part of our community and partnering with our town across many different people's lives and helping out. So everyone certainly appreciates that. Just to kind of give you a plug, can you tell us and the audience if people want to learn more about what's happening at the Quick Center, or be able to look at your upcoming schedule for your season? Can you tell us how people would get in touch or go find your events?
Sure, they can log on to our website, which is quickcenter.com, or they can call our box office, I'll find the number, 203-254-4010, or they can just stop by the university at the Quick Center anytime. We've got a box office that's constantly manned. There's always somebody there. We're welcome to show people around, let them know what's going on.
Fantastic.
So we're there.
Thank you very much.
Great, thanks a
All right,
lot.
thank you again.
Thank you.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
25 years.
There's just a brochure, which you can see other
Thanks, Peter.
materials inside.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
I should point out that we invited Peter, even though at the A Chance to Dance event, he was one of the participating dancers along with me, and he killed us. They-
Audience Choice Award in my Builder's Room.
See?
Yeah, but who had better hair?
Oh,
I think
you?
Mike might have
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Take care.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, to hear a report from the Pilot House. Doreen, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Please come up, introduce yourselves. and,
I'm gonna give you guys.
even though we know you.
We know, yeah. Been around too long. Time to retire.
Not yet.
I know, I
Not
got too
yet.
much work to do.
Not quite.
I'm Doreen Caruso. I am the founder and director of the Pilot House, which we are entering in our 8th year. When I started Pilot House, it was literally a pilot program for special needs children. We started the first summer camp, which we had 25 students. And from that moment, I realized that there needed to be more. And so we very quickly put together a nonprofit, a group of other parents and myself, formed the nonprofit, the Pilot House. And we occupied the basement of Fairfield Wood School for 2 years, starting in 2007. And then we were kind enough to be offered space at 240 Colony Street, which has been our home for the last 6 years. And we have tremendously evolved. When we started, we were primarily just servicing probably young preschool, elementary students. And as our kids got older, as our town grew, and as needs grew, we needed to evolve with the times. So we then began to expand our programs into middle school students, high school students, and as we know, kids continue to grow. Mine are juniors in high school, and I feel like they're in preschool yesterday. And so now we're trying to keep up with the growing times of now the kids that are aging out to 18 and 21 and beyond. So thus, Pilot House's expansion 2 years ago into a therapeutic riding program to offer another extension of the services that we offer within our building, and also developing life skills. So now, not only do we offer programming that includes yoga, music, different kinds of typical recreational activities that typical kids are subject to that have, 100 places to go to and choose from, we have now been able to allow students to come into that process, and we also have peers in there, so they're getting the typical involvement as well. And so now we've incorporated life skills, teaching them daily living skills, how to manage their checkbook. We started a community store within our building, teach them how to do a coffee shop, so the basics of how to run a coffee shop, how to bake, how to cook. And so then so as we expanded into the farm, the vision has always been for Pilot House to take it to the next level of creating a work environment for these young adults to have something to their advantage, to be able to learn to give back and to work within our community. And also the shortage of living for young adults with different disabilities. If your child, or young adult I should say, at the age of 21 has an IQ that's above 70, they receive no assistance whatsoever from the state of Connecticut or the federal government, which means they have nowhere to go. If you have a child or young adult who is below IQ of 69, you're on a waiting list for a group home, which can be up in the amount of 30 years. So there's a crisis now in Connecticut as to where these young adults go, myself included. My son, who is high functioning, unfortunately probably will never be able to live on his own, will need some type of assistance, and it's a fear that a lot of us parents are experiencing. So Pilot House's vision has always been to take it to the next level, which is what we're about to do. We are now at Sasko River Farm here in Fairfield, which is a family-owned farm, which we've been offered a tremendous opportunity to purchase the 8 acres from them at a substantially discounted rate. So in addition to being able to provide the therapeutic riding now at the farm, we're going to be starting a community farm program, which we are very excited about. Again, we want the community completely involved. It's for everybody and for them to work together. And so we're going to be doing some horticulture programs that will then be selling produce to local area merchants and restaurants. My sister is very excited to join the forge ahead for us. And the long-term vision for Pilot House is then to obtain the other acreage on the farm that we are currently located in and building a communal living program where the young adults will be able to actually live on the farm and work the farm is our long-term vision in the next 5 years, which we are very quickly moving towards. So on September 19th, unfortunately, the same date, we are having our Band Together, which is Band Together's 50th show for them fundraising for local charities here in Fairfield. And so we're having our kickoff for our fundraising campaign to purchase the farm, to put our down payment for the farm, which is, we need our down payment of $35,000. We're at $21,000, so we're very close to reaching our goal with our initial kickoff. So it's very exciting where we're moving in the direction. And we wouldn't be where we are today without the help of Fairfield and the beginning that you guys gave us. So your $8,000 a year that we get from you goes very far, and the building that we're in. So we're very grateful because we wouldn't have been able to be where we are today.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
This is stunning. I mean, what you've been able to achieve. It's absolutely stunning. I mean,
lives are changed.
Lives are changed, but it's so ambitious and visionary. I mean, to look to the future for these kids and to give them meaningful work and skills that are.
They're all excited. It's amazing.
It's phenomenal. So, I mean, I'm just. I
Big
just
things
think
are happening.
It's the fact that you've come so far in such a short period of time. I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
I will be there to support you. This is a tremendous opportunity for people in Fairfield to come and support you, and I look forward to seeing you grow.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I have to say, when people from outside of the community hear that we're in a town, the support that we get, it means a tremendous amount. So when we write our grant every year for the 8,000, we have to ask the question, well, what does that do for you? It's tremendous for us because it shows that our town is invested and behind us in what we do, and that we can continue to move these things forward. A lot of our families are very desperate right now and don't know what to do. So we're in high gear right now to really get this campaign moving and to get the farm up and running and moving as quickly as we possibly can.
And is it for Fairfield
We
kids
primarily,
and families
I
only,
mean,
or-
90% of the students that we do service in young adults are in Fairfield, but we do have some outside communities. My goal is to take this beyond. It needs to be beyond. It really does, and we're setting an example, and that's what needs to happen. It's a serious talk that needs to happen. We don't only have developmental disabilities, what we have now is, especially in light of what happened in Newtown, mental health. A lot of the students that we're servicing right now fall under that criteria of mental health issues.
And where is the farm located? It's Sasko?
It's at 1260 Merwin's Lane.
Merwin's Lane, okay.
We're still we have a lot of construction still coming. But it's exciting, it's growing. We have over 40 riders that are riding at the farm, so the therapeutic riding program is growing on a day-to-day basis. And we have volunteers that come in, the students who are higher in the program. We have some students that have excelled beyond needing the typical therapeutic. They're riding independently, which some parents were told when their children were 3 weren't even going to be able to walk, and they're riding a horse independently. So we don't ever give up, and our motto is we strive for independence, and that's what our goal is to give these young adults and kids independence at their level.
Fantastic. Kevin?
Doreen, it's amazing what you do.
Thank you.
I mean, I've known you for a long time, and the growth within your organization is measured by the growth of all these young people that you've been able to affect their lives positively. And I just don't know how to thank you enough for everything you do for them, and you do for our town, and for everyone that lives around here. I mean, it is just beyond words. It's tremendous what you
Thank
do,
you.
and what you continue to do and strive for, and I know you'll do it, so.
I hope so,
Thank-
with your help. It really, truly, it does take a village. It truly does take a village.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
And again, we have a chance to sit down every so often, so I've gotten snippets of this all the way through, but I want to thank you,
Thank you.
as my colleagues have, for what you've done for a town. But it also seems, in terms of both seeing and filling the gap in service.
There's still a long way to go.
To a very needy segment of our community. So thank you for making
you.
us more of a community.
Thank you.
Bye
See
for
you
now.
soon.
Good luck.
Thank you. Come by the farm or by the house.
Oh, yes. All right, next up, from the Director of Public Works, this is a lease agreement that requires RTM approval. And I think this is 2 pieces, but I will read this so we're all up to speed. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Director of Public Works. Resolved that a solar power purchase agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Cephia Holdings, LLC, for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the ground behind the Recreation Tennis Center at 15 Old Dam Road for the sole benefit of the Recreation Tennis Center, the term of the agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved. And further resolved that a system site lease agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Cephia Holdings, LLC, for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the ground behind the Recreation Tennis Center at 15 Old Dam Road for the sole benefit of the Recreation Tennis Center for the term of agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved.
So moved. Oh, you're going to read them both? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Is there a second? Mr. Bowman, could you tell me, as I read that, it seemed like I read the same thing twice.
One's the purchase and one's the lease.
One's the purchase. Can you explain the difference so that we can
Yes.
proceed with that?
Basically, the purchase agreement is our obligation to buy power from the contractor at this reduced rate for 20 years. The lease agreement is an agreement the contractor has made with CFIA, the Connecticut Energy Investment and Financial Authority, and its Green Bank. And basically, they sold the project to them, and they will then buy it down to financing at less than a commercial rate. The Green Bank has assembled financing from Bank of America and a lot of other banks just for this purpose. So they're able to loan money at a below market rate for green projects. The lease, it has to go on their property records, similar to CPACE. So basically, the town's guaranteeing it won't sell the property. And if it does sell the property, the solar goes with it. I mean, but towns don't sell property. But this was designed for private business. They just never really changed the criteria for municipalities. So they put it in terms of a lease agreement, a lease on the property, which requires RTM approval. That's all. Power purchase agreement is yours. The lease agreement is theirs.
Okay.
answer?
Go right ahead.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
So I understand the tennis center is, they lease the space from the town? Is that the way it
Yeah,
works?
but this project is a little complicated. It provides the power for both the tennis center and the new town recreation building there, because there's only 1 meter on the place.
Okay.
So we're estimating the amount of power the rec building will use. This will supply 100% of its power and a share of the power for the tennis center. So they're both sharing the benefits. But, we get the benefit first, and then the tennis center gets the second part of the benefit, because it's on joint property. It was only 1 meter. We couldn't do it any other way.
Okay, so
Now,
we
originally,
share-
again, there was a lot of genesis to this. Originally, we were supposed to put this in the parking lot on a raised platform. We had a meeting with the neighborhood, and they just were 100% against it. So we tried to redesign it on the ground near the parking lot, and that didn't work either. So the company was able to redesign it actually behind the building, on the ground, about 4 to 6 feet above the ground. So it's really hidden from view from the whole neighborhood, yet it still works. Now, there will also be a screening, so it's behind the building, but it'll be screened from the parking lot over to the marsh area, so no one will see it even from the parking lot. So it's completely screened from the neighborhood.
So the tennis center, it says here, the savings from all of this will be shared 50% each.
Yes.
Will the tennis center be, I know the town is the purchaser, but are they involved in the cost at all of
No.
the fee to lease get the solar panels, et
No,
cetera?
because the meter is actually in the town's building, so it will,
Okay.
the town will provide the lease. He'll get the benefit, as a,
I'll get the
third-party
benefit
benefit. That's all.
overall.
Yeah.
And then if say the tennis center went away as a leasee or as a renter, another company comes in perhaps, and it would be the same sort of
Yes.
a deal?
Yeah. Whoever occupies that space would, get the advantage of this reduced cost of power.
Okay.
Okay. Cal- If you, Mr. Lesher, if you want to come up to the podium,
You would ask a question, and I'm not sure.
you could just introduce yourself.
Stanton Lesser, Town Attorney. You'd asked a question about the lease, and I know this is probably your first one of these as on the Board of Selectmen. We've done a number of these. Ed can tell you how many, but
Well, we've done mostly power purchase agreements as opposed to
correct.
leases.
Because normally when we've done these, we have to give them permission to go on the property.
Right.
They erect the system, they own the system. We don't own anything. But since it's our land, we have to give them in some manner the right to go on and use the property. We have been doing this by way of a license agreement rather than a lease. Simply just giving them permission to go on and set up. And we make sure everything's done properly, they're insured and things like that. This company, for some reason, with their financing, needs a lease. So we're doing a lease. And that's why you have two approvals for each one of these. One is for the power purchase agreement. The second is for the actual lease that will give them the right to go on the property and erect the system.
I understand that. I'm just wondering if the leasee, the tennis center, is getting a benefit and savings, what is the town getting in return? I mean, it's a
Yeah, I know.
it's a great benefit for them, but the town seems
not
to be paying the full
Well,
freight for it.
Go
We may
back.
be paying utilities anyway under that lease, I don't know.
No, he's paying the utilities and the
Yes.
tennis court, we're just paying on the building. But again, it's an estimated cost because there is only 1 meter. Originally, the genesis is he submitted for a power purchase agreement, contract under Xerec, and we submitted for one. Well, you can only have 1 per meter. So he withdrew his and we submitted ours to combine the two of them. Otherwise, he submitted first. He would have got the benefit, we wouldn't have got any benefit. So we're doing it this way, we both share the benefit. So there is no cost to the town or to him for it. And the lease is a requirement of the Green Bank. That's the bank wants a lease, so. We tried not to do it, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, the point I think is on these that there's no cost of any of these to the town.
Okay.
So he gets a benefit too, but for the electricity that we would be using for the town, we're saving a lot of money on that, so.
Yeah, and again, the company, which is CFIA now, they design, build, own, operate, finance, maintain. It's it's 100% their obligation. If it fails, they got to take it away. We have zero obligation towards it at all, except to save money. It's a good deal that way.
To follow on to that, I hear you. Now, but the tennis center is going to save some money on their utilities. Do we have any idea how much that will be on a monthly or annualized basis, just based on usage and differences in price?
Yes, they'll save the same as we are, about $6,600 a year.
600
Yep.
bucks over the course of a year?
Yep.
Does that assume that they get full usage of it or only partial usage? Didn't you say we go first and they get stub?
We get 100%, they get the rest. So it turns out to be 50-50 based on the usage, that's all.
Also, you anticipate the leftover amount fully covering them?
Yeah.
So
Won't
it's
fully
about-
cover that, it'll fully cover us. He'll still have a big bill left after that, but we will have no bill.
So
In other words, the first dollar goes to cover the cost of running the recreation building. What's
Right.
left over, he gets the benefit of.
Right. So, once again, that dollar benefit would be estimated to be annualized at,
It's around $6,500.
is that the high end or the low end?
No, that's the first year then, based on the current price of electricity and on the value of what we're buying it from, and the difference comes out to
Okay.
about 13,000 on the first year. That'll change from year to year as the
Right.
electric prices goes up.
But does that assume he's able to purchase all of his electricity at that price or
No.
only a portion of it
He still has to buy his electricity like anyone else for the balance of the building.
for the balance of the building? Yeah. It seems to me like we should be able to find some economic benefit to the town because of that benefit we're giving to him. Because they are a for-profit company. They charge us to play tennis, right?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Well, they also rebuilt our tennis center at considerable expense to do that. But I think with respect to just this deal, Ed, I thought I heard you say that because they got their application in first, if they hadn't withdrawn,
Right, theirs was
we
approved.
wouldn't be getting the
Theirs was approved.
And they agreed to
$6,500.
withdraw it, so we could put a joint application. So if they
Okay.
got their, and they went forward, we would've got no benefit. They would've got the whole thing.
Okay. All right, so that I get. A few months back, the neighbors were in, and, because the first plan had the panels in the
Right.
parking lot, and then they couldn't go on the roof because the brand-new building couldn't stand the weight, which perplexed me, but that took it to the parking lot. And then we went to the back of the building, and now we have a spot that's hidden back there that everyone is happy with, the neighbors included.
They're happy with the plans they received, and we received no complaints about that from the last, this is the third attempt. As long as the screening goes in, no one will see anything from anywhere. That's
Okay.
basically what it
How
is.
many meetings did you have with the?
We just have
neighbors?
one general meeting with the whole neighborhood, and after that, we just dealt with redesign and giving it to the leaders that they picked to, to deal with, and then they carried it through from there, so.
So
I don't know if anyone's here tonight.
So-
from the neighborhood.
the neighborhood group has seen the final version, and
Yeah,
they
right.
signed off on it for,
Well, I don't know if they signed off.
Well-
We emailed them, same thing you guys got, the
Right.
drawing where it is, and Jerry Lombardo dealt with them, and received no complaints back. They might not have been able to meet because of the short notice, but they've had the design for a month and a half, and had no more comments on it, so.
Would we be able to reach out to them just to kind of confirm they've got it?
Yeah,
and-
Jerry's been doing that, so I'll.
Okay, so they know
Yep.
if any comments in between now and potentially when it gets to the RTM, I'll
Yep.
make sure they have proper notice and can certainly raise any issues there if they have
Yep.
to.
They say they had it for a month and a half, have not raised any issues with us since, except to make sure we do the screening. That's been their one issue, so Tom will do the screening, that's no big deal.
so the final plan's been released 6 weeks ago to the neighborhood, as far as you know?
Yep, I sent it to them.
Yeah. It is the middle of summer, so sometimes things get lost. So, yeah, I think it's a worthwhile thing to follow up with them. And my last question is on timing. Let's say that, somebody hasn't weighed in, or somebody's not happy, or there were further questions. Are there any timing issues with this?
This will be done this fall, like in October.
No, timing as far as the approvals. For instance, let's say more information was requested or needed by the neighborhood group or by a body in town. If this was held up for a meeting or a month, does that affect what's happening big picture?
Yes,
How so?
because once it gets into cold weather, they can't install. It has to be done before the cold weather sets in. They also have a time frame from the state in which they have to do the project or they lose the money. So this is like the second year. They have to be done by next spring, or they're not going to have they'll lose the whole grant.
Yeah. No, I certainly like the project and like the savings and
But as far as
like what
time-
we're doing, and basically, other than the fact that the things have been moved around from different spots, I like the project as well. I'm just a little it gives me a little pause when the neighbors haven't been heard from since we did hear from them before.
Well, I think Jerry's heard from him in a positive way. Jerry couldn't be here tonight, but, and we resent the final thing to them again this week. They got it again, just to show that there was no change from what we gave them, a month ago or so. And they still have between now and the RTM meeting to, voice any objections or see if there's any changes.
I think that along those lines, Kevin, I agree with you. I'd rather have something kind of a little tighter in terms of the communication. But I think that there have been significant changes to this project since we viewed it, I think, last January.
It was during the winter, wasn't it?
I
I think it was even a year ago.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was like, not quite a
Okay.
year ago, maybe
Wow,
late last
18
fall.
months. Wow.
Actually,
Okay.
by also putting it, we had to make it smaller. It's been reduced in size.
Right.
To fit behind there, so.
Right.
But that doesn't hurt us, that hurts the tennis guys.
My
Yeah.
point is that's an indicator of communication going on back and forth. Because changes have been made based on that, based on neighbor issues. And I know in my conversations with Jerry, it went to along the ground, but still out in front to in back, and now in back and screen. So there've been
Right.
various versions of that.
Right.
But he has sent it out for comment, so we'll get it back within
But
a
I'm-
week, I'm sure.
Same thing here. I'd be much more comfortable if there's positive confirmation back that that communication had taken place.
Right,
Do you
because
have
you're going to
something?
get the same questions from the RTM.
Only more so, right?
So I think you just need to be prepared to answer those questions and put them to rest if there are any concerns
Yep.
in the neighborhood.
Well, I think basically it goes from here to the RTM. That would be in September.
Yes.
Can you get the RTM in October? You're saying that's too late to do it at the end of October.
It probably could be done. I mean, it's getting touchy at that point in time
Then
in
you're just
terms of
playing the weather.
construction schedule.
You're playing the weather game in terms of
Yeah.
what takes place.
Like, we have 5 more of these projects, which we're not going to bring to you.
Because of that.
They're scheduled for next spring, so
Right.
we'll wait
Right.
until October or whatever we get
Right.
it done.
Well, if we were uneasy, and I'm not speaking for us, but if we were to wait 2 weeks from yesterday, which is the 14th or 15th, which is still in advance of the RTM meeting,
That's a great
is that
idea.
helpful? And does
Yeah.
that give somebody enough time to get these questions somewhat answered, so that we would be a little more comfortable? Does that help? And also, does that...
But if there are
we st-
questions, yeah, we haven't heard any, but yeah.
Well, just to get the confirmation from the neighborhood leaders that
Mhm.
they're very comfortable with the placement of this.
Yeah, I just want to be sensitive to those needs of the neighborhood.
All right.
Because we're not going to lose anything, because it's still going to go to the RTM at the end of the month, and we
That
have a
was my-
meeting prior to, so I think that's a...
Yeah, as long as it's approved in time for the committee meetings, that's the big thing.
Because we meet on the, do you have a calendar?
16.
16th, 2 weeks from yesterday.
And when's our
RTM
meeting?
committee meetings are, there's some religious holidays in there as well that might move schedules around, so I don't have all
17th
that.
would be two.
I think they're the 21st. All 5 are on the 21st.
All
All
five.
5
Committee
committee
meetings.
meetings?
Are they all in one
And we're
night?
meeting on the 16th.
Is that adequate timing for us to get information to them? It's close.
It's tight. I think what we'd have to do is get it to the town clerk and be subject to approval of the Board of Selectmen, because the package goes out to the RTM. before
About a
that.
week, it goes out a few days prior to that.
Close, but yes.
All the time, in terms of how to get the information in, so.
Okay, so what's the,
Yep.
I just have a little pause pushing this through with all great respect to what you've done and do for us all the time on these projects. I love them all. I just, because of the opposition and the changes in this project, I'm just a little concerned that the final version hasn't been stamped, approved, and properly presented to our board.
is that a motion to postpone to a date certain?
It is. I move to postpone item 10 to a date certain, that date being our next Board of Selectmen meeting, September 16th, 2015.
Second that.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion to postpone?
No, I just want to say one thing, which is that I support this project. I mean, I think it's terrific. The town is going to save money. I know it's been a process. I just want to make sure that since it has been a process, that to Mr. Kiley's point, we get it right.
That's all.
Any further discussion here?
No.
Any comments from the public on the motion to postpone and the motion to postpone only? Seeing none, back to the board. We ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this item stands postponed. Jen, if you'd also make sure we check with the RTM moderator as well as Betsy Brown to make sure that they see this coming, that's okay. Next up, item 11, from the Director of Public Works. This is also a comparable situation with a power purchase agreement and a lease agreement that requires RTM approval. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution is recommended by the Director of Public Works. Resolved that a solar power purchase agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Cephia Holdings for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the roof of Timothy Dwight Elementary School at 1600 Reading Road for the sole benefit of Timothy Dwight Elementary School, the term of the agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved. And further resolved that a system site lease agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Cephia Holdings for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the roof of Timothy Dwight Elementary School at 1600 Reading Road for the sole benefit of Timothy Dwight Elementary School, the term of the agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved. May I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
A second.
Second.
All right, Mr. Bowman.
Okay. First, I'll say that Sal and Marvito and Tom Conti apologize for not being able to get her again because of the short meeting notice. But basically, this project is really nice. This will provide 100% of the power for Dwight School for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It really is.
It's kind of hard to fight that one.
And it fits on the roof.
Yeah, it fits on the roof, right.
I mean, you can't really get much better than 100%, so.
Actually, it'll make
that's
more,
great.
but we don't want to make more. You ought to buy it back at a rate that's less than what we're making it for, so they'll just have to shut it off when you get to 100%.
Yeah.
Can you give us perspective on why Dwight and where else this is going on in other schools?
Yeah, I mean, again, the schools have been looked at in terms of, again, the roof is the key thing. They need a 20-year warranty on a roof to begin.
Right. Yeah.
So basically, as the schools are replacing the roofs, they're putting solar on afterwards. So right now, we have projects at Mill Hill, at Dwight, Ludlow, Andrew Ward, and Fairfield Woods. Actually, there's two at Fairfield Woods. One was on a roof that really was in place, and as they built the roof, there's a second one going, so expanding it. So I think Riverfield may be next. But after that, you have to wait for more roofs to be replaced before we can put any more in the schools. But we will come back to that one for the railroad station parking lot, which will also provide over 1 million kWh for Tomlinson Junior High School. But that'll be, you'll get that in 5 or 6 months. That's another big project, so.
That's fantastic. Can you give us a sense of how much savings the town is?
With all these projects, what
With all
I'd
these-
like to do is in October, when I come back with the 5 projects, I'll give you an update on each of the projects, where they stand in construction, how much money they would save in total. But it's, we're at the point where we'll be making almost 25% of our power from solar within 2 years.
Wow, that's huge.
That's huge. And is Fairfield unique in this? I mean,
I don't think anybody's doing as much as 25%, no. So, and we have 5 more projects that we're submitting for. We'll just keep going until we run out of buildings. I'm running out of buildings, basically.
And as I get to mention each time this comes before us, Ed, you've been the key driver and architect behind all of this, and it's your initiative that's really done phenomenal work for the town.
Thank you.
Both in the $2.5 million a year we're saving now by using sustainable energy and renewable sources, as well as this additional work going on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
It's great.
It's fun.
Thank you. No, big thank you to Ed.
Yep. Any further questions on this? No. All right. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ed, thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
All right, next up, from the town tax collector, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector and the amount recommended. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second?
Any amendments or edits?
Yes, I would like to make an amendment. I move to amend this to remove the period after the sentence and add a comma followed by the number of $166,652.24.
A second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the amendment? Any amendment only? All right, any comments from the public on the amendment? Any amendment only? All right, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So the item as amended stands before us. Any further discussion? Any further comments from the public? Back to the board. Are we ready to vote on the item? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, from the town attorney, a private executive session. I have a motion to go into private executive session for two items.
So moved.
Second.
And we have the three attorneys here, and I may ask that they be invited into the meeting.
Okay, may we have that motion to include the appropriate attorneys?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Yes. Oh, you want me? Yes.
Return to public session.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
We're back in public session. While in private section, no motions were made and no votes were taken. May I have a motion to accept the attorney's recommendations?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion? We're all okay? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next up, adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sound off?